I'm Chief Cheryl Victorian. This is Waco PD on the beat. Whether it's crime or just getting to know the Waco Police Department, we're here to talk about things that matter most to you.
Waco, and welcome to Waco PD on the beat. I am the Public Information Officer, Sierra Shipley.
And I'm Officer AJ Smith, the Crime Stoppers Coordinator for McLennan County.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on. We have a Detective James Head with the Criminal Investigation Division. I didn't say that right. Did I say that right? Mm-hmm. I did say that right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. Oh, man, I thought I didn't say that right.
It used to be Neighborhood Services section, but
there we
now
go.
It's Criminal
Okay.
Investigation Division.
Okay, very good.
I was going to screw that up because I was thinking NSS, and then you said that, and I was like, wait, that's right, actually.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man.
They reorganized the department, so that's,
Yes.
yeah, it is.
Yes. Okay. Very good. As it was coming out of my mouth, I was like, for some reason, I don't think this is right, but it is Criminal Investigation Division. And this is our stats episode. We actually haven't had one in a while, just with the holiday season, but we usually do a kind of a stats episode every month to look back on the month prior to see what we're seeing as far as crime goes in Waco. So, and you are here to talk about theft and maybe some fraud as well. Kind of a big deal here in Waco. Before we get into that, though, Detective James, go ahead and talk a little bit about your career here at Waco PD. How long have you been here?
Now you're trying to get me to tell my age, aren't you? I've been here 33 years and 3 months.
Oh my! Oh, you're to the dot. You're ready.
Yes, ma'am.
Counting it down.
Yes,
Counting
ma'am.
it down.
I've actually been a police officer for 40 years and 8 months.
Okay.
I served at several other departments before I came to Waco. But I've been here 33 years this October, and I've actually been in the theft unit. Back then it was called the Class C unit, but I've been in the theft unit 30 years.
Oh, wow.
So I've been in detectives for 30 years.
Very good. Very good. And so, is there a reason why you decided to kind of get into that unit? Do you like that type of stuff?
I like investigations. I've always liked mysteries. And as a child, I always watched Sherlock Holmes. Mm-hmm. And I always read books about solving things. I like to solve problems, puzzles, which that's what detectives mainly do, is try to solve who did the crime, how they did it, and why they did it. And so I've always been interested in that, but I kind of got into police work by accident. I became a reserve officer for a city in 1979 and got into it that way through a fire department, believe it or not. Was around police officers, actually dispatched a little bit for the small town that I was in, and got into it that way. And then when the opening came up, the chief asked me if I wanted to go to work there, and he caught me at the right time, so I got into police work.
All right.
There was never a career choice. It was just something that happened.
See,
So kind of like it's
exactly.
a trend we have
it's a
here.
Trend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And police work is a fulfilling field. You get to meet people, sometimes at their worst and sometimes at their best. But you also get to try to help people. You get to help communities. You get to help people. You try to do what you can to solve people's problems a lot of times. That's not always easy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And so now, how long have you been with the theft unit here in
30
Waco
years.
PD? Okay,
So it
30
just
years the whole
transitioned
time.
from Class C to
Yes.
NSS.
The Class C unit
Yeah.
used to be 2 guys and a sergeant.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
they did thefts, but they did a whole bunch of other things. So it transitioned from that when we were doing neighborhoods, and actually that's what Neighborhood Services section was. We were doing neighborhood engagements, and what the new team is now doing, going to the neighborhood meetings, the detectives of those units went to, because we actually had assigned beats. We actually had areas that we covered, the crimes in that area at that particular time. So it transitioned into the theft unit, but it's called Thefts and Miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous. That's pretty broad, isn't it?
Yes, it's whatever any other department doesn't want to work.
Oh, okay. Got it. Perfect.
We work thefts, we work all Class Cs, all of the motor vehicle code. We work criminal mischiefs, failure to identify, evading arrest, just all kinds of different crimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just thefts. We don't just handle thefts. We handle all kinds of other crimes too.
So they just made miscellaneous.
Yes.
Throw those all in there.
Yes.
Well, we
They come up with a new law, we get it.
Right. Well, we appreciate the work that you do. Well, it's that time of year again, and it's the time where we search for new recruits to join our police department team. The Waco Police Department's civil service test is scheduled for March 19th. This is a day where a written and physical test is complete that you have to pass to start the process in becoming a Waco police officer. Before the civil service test is taken, you must complete an online application
application that you can find on our website, wacopolice.com. The deadline to complete that application is March 1st. And for any questions, you can call our personnel unit at 254-750-7510.
Explain before we get into, the numbers. We've talked about, the increase in robberies and burglaries and things like that throughout our podcast last year, but explain what theft is.
Well, theft is taking property from someone else by several different means. There's different kinds of thefts, but without their permission or consent, basically.
And so what's probably the biggest theft that you see that your detectives are dealing with? What are people stealing the most? What is the big
A lot
ticket?
of it is, almost half of our cases of thefts are actually shopliftings, where people go into stores and steal stuff from the businesses. Okay. And we have other kinds too, different kinds. Like you were saying, for fraud, we're seeing an increase in elderly abuse by theft, and that's more sophisticated. That's through computers, cell phones, tablets, that kind of stuff.
Right,
And
kind of like scams and things like that.
yes, and they're hard because of the fact that most of the people do not live in this state. They live either overseas, and they're doing it through the internet, or they live in other states. In order for us to prosecute someone in that kind of theft, a fraud like that, it has to be a felony, because you have to be able to extradite them from another state.
Right.
And the district attorney's office has to be willing to prosecute that felony. And what a lot of people don't understand, if it's a misdemeanor, even if we know who the person is that did the theft in that other state, we can't arrest them. So that's a problem, because it's beginning to get more and more.
Right. Yeah, that's hard. Let's talk a little bit about the elderly and the issue that they have. So what can they do, or what can they be aware of to not become victim of those types of crimes?
Well, number one is if somebody contacts you and wants you to do something now, that's two clues. Number one is if you weren't expecting the text or the call, then you need to be suspicious. And you need to listen to what they're asking. If they want you to do something immediately, like it's an emergency, you got to do this right now, that's a problem. Because what it is they're trying to prey upon you to get you to make a decision rashly and not think about what you're doing. And we don't mind people and citizens calling us. If they have a call like that and they have a suspicion that it's a fake, or they're trying to be duped to give money, call us. We'll talk to you. And we'll try to find out if it's really a real thing or not a real thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I feel like if it's a legitimate person, like the bank is legitimately contacting you, they're not going to be mad if you question it because of the prevalence of these types of cases.
And if it's a thing that you have, like say you have an account and they're saying, hey, this account we need your information. Well, call them. Look at the number. You've got the paperwork for the people to call. If you have problems, call them. Yeah. Go around the issue of these people. They want you to call their number because they've got their friend on the line who's going to tell you, hey, I'm with the bank, or hey, I'm with this credit card company, or hey, I'm with Amazon. That's one of the big ones is Amazon.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Yes. I wouldn't think that would be. I haven't
Well,
heard
scammers
of that one.
can get your information pretty easy over the internet, and they'll call you up and say, hey, we have a problem with your order, because a lot of people order from Amazon. They're a big sender. And so they'll say, we have an order, we need your information. And they'll get into little by little their personal information, like, well, okay, what's your address? What's your social security number? What's your driver's license number? Wow. And then they go to banking information. What's your routing number? What's your account number? So we can send you a refund. You know, that's how they hook people.
Wow.
And then get
that's
them
a
to
new
give
one.
the information. And there's a lot of that like that.
Right.
But they also have other kinds too. You know, like, hey, your grandson's arrested. You need to pay his bail. That's another one too.
That was one. They called my grandpa and said somebody was in a car wreck. Like, Grandpa, I'm in a car wreck, and then hang up.
Yeah.
And then call back. Grandpa, I need money. I was in a car wreck. And so he called my mom and was like, hey, were one of the kids in a car wreck? And she's like, no. But I mean, that's a scam. When I was working light duty, people came in and they had become a victim of it.
Yeah.
And some people gave thousands upon thousands of dollars.
They tried it on my dad.
Yeah.
They tried it on him, saying his grandson was in another state working, and they were saying he was riding with this guy, and the guy was wanted, so they arrested him. There's drugs in the car, so he needs this for bail. And I had a hard time convincing my dad. I said, it's a scam. He says, well, why? I can't get a hold of my grandson. And I says, because they don't do that. Yeah. Police officers not call you up and say, I need this amount of money for
Jail's
your
not calling you.
grandson's bail. I said, your grandson's going to be calling you.
Yeah.
And so I looked up the address he was wanting to send it to, and it was fake. And I told him, I said, don't do it. But you'd be surprised how many people do, because they're being pressured. And that's what the scam is about, is the pressure. You got to do it now. They'll even stay on the phone with them when they go to the bank and tell them how to take the money out of the bank and then where to go. The biggest one is if they tell you to get gift cards.
I've had that happen to me.
Yes.
If they tell you to get gift cards, it's a scam. I'm telling you. The reason is you cannot trace gift card. You cannot trace those cards. Gift cards are bought in blocks by different institutions, financial institutions. They don't track them. They just see how much money is left on the card, and when it's done, they close that card out. They don't trace them, and they're not traceable. That's why they want you to get gift cards, because there's no way to trace them. Because you're going to give them the number off the back, and you're going to give them the PIN code off the back of that card, and when you do, they're going to siphon the money electronically off, and there's no way to trace them.
Right.
One that I heard of last week, and I heard of it happening in Killeen, so I can only imagine it's either happening in Waco or going to happen. But these scammers are telling people, hey, you've got a warrant.
Yes.
Meet me at the police station.
Yes.
They will meet in the police station parking lot. They will exchange money with a detective, and because it's a small enough amount of money, it's not getting reported probably as much as it's happening, because, like, some of these elaborate ones, hey, you need $10,000.
Yeah.
That's questionable. Hey, it's $500, but if you give me $200 cash right now, like I'll go ahead and just drop the case.
Well, our detectives can't do that.
No,
For anyone
we don't
listening,
take cash.
we can't
Even
do
if
that.
you're meeting at the police station, like I think they've gotten so bold, and it's meeting at the police station. And now that we've got this safe exchange place, I'm worried that that's going to happen in Waco.
Safe exchange
if it's not
place is
already.
not for our detectives to exchange money
And
with
our
felons.
detectives do not
Detectives
take
are not
money.
going to
Like,
do that.
Detectives
you
won't
will
do
go
that.
The only
to the
thing that we
judge.
usually do, like if we have let's say somebody did a criminal mischief and the company just wants restitution. They don't want to prosecute. We'll actually tell the people, okay, they want restitution. They don't want to prosecute you. We'll tell them, bring us a cashier's check in that company's name, not ours,
Yeah.
not the police department's. And don't leave it blank. It's
Yeah.
got to be that company's on there. And then when we turn it over to that company, we write a property release showing that we gave them the money, and somebody has to sign for it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing the Texas will do. They won't take cash. They won't take credit cards. They'll take a cashier's check.
And money's not going to make a warrant go away either.
No.
Like there's a whole process with that.
Yes.
But
And
money doesn't
if a
just
detective
make it happen.
does do that, they're going to go to prison.
Yes, that's
They'll
true.
be right there with you.
Right next to you.
Crime Stoppers is an organization which bridges the gap between law enforcement and the community, so together we can solve crimes in our neighborhoods.
Crime Stoppers encourages the community to assist in the fight against crime by overcoming the two key elements which inhibit community involvement: fear and apathy.
Crime Stoppers allow citizens to anonymously submit tips. Tips can get you up to a $2,000 reward if it leads to an arrest or solves a crime. Tips can be submitted by calling 254-753-HELP, which is 4357, visiting wacocrimestoppers.org, or downloading the P3 app. Remember, tip submission is always anonymous and can lead to a reward of up to $2,000.
Now, as far as, let's get into a little bit of the numbers. In 2020, we had 180 theft cases just in the month of December. And then in 2021, those cases went up to 259. So December of 2021, we had 259 cases. Usually we see an increase around the holidays, right? Because a lot of thefts, that could even be porch pirates that take those packages from the front door. So is that kind of maybe the increase you saw, or why?
Well, usually from Thanksgiving to the Christmas holidays, and a little bit, maybe a week or two after, we have an increase in thefts just because of seasonal things. Number one is crooks or opportunists. If they can steal something they think they can get away with not being caught, they'll do it. And during the holidays, especially around Christmas, people are busy buying gifts, they're busy shopping, they're busy doing things. But the thieves also are watching. So if you're in a store and you leave your purse in your basket and you turn your back, maybe go down the aisle just a little bit, they're watching you to see if you do that, and they're going to take that purse as soon as they can.
Right.
Or if you leave gifts in your car or leave your purse where it's visible in the car, they're going through the parking lot and they're looking around. If they can see it, And a lot of people don't even lock the doors to their car. They can just open the door and steal the gifts or
I
steal
think I
the
locked
purse.
my car like 5 times as I'm walking away from it. I'm like, locked, yep, okay.
And sometimes they'll break the windows, but that's rare now. Most people are because a lot of cars have alarms on them, so they don't want to be noticed, so they're going to pull the doors that's not locked, or have the opportunity to steal your phone or your wallet, something at the store when you're not paying attention. Or like you said, porch pirates. That's becoming more and more prevalent too.
Do you think there might be, I mean, there is a big difference, but there isn't a big increase between the 180 and the 259. Depends on who you ask. But, you know, do you think there might have been a difference between the year 2020 and 2021 why we saw a little bit of an uptick?
Well, there's a multitude of reasons, but I think the major ones are, number one, Waco's growing. Waco is getting to be a big town. If you go around and you look at the number of houses that are being built, they're even building new schools, and the number of businesses that they're building here in Waco. It's not a small town anymore. It's getting to be one of the major cities along I-35, and it's centrally located, so a lot of businesses are building warehouses here. So you're having an increase in population. If you have an increase in population, you have an increase in the number of people who are coming that are criminals. Right. So you're going to have an increase in crime just because of the number of people that are coming to live here and to work here. But also, like we said, during the end of the years, you have all the opportunist crimes and things going on. Plus, you have an increase in the sophistication and the money that people are getting. You know, like you said, $10,000. We've had people that's had $30,000 stolen. Wow. And that's a lot of money. Yeah. And they were pressured to do it. And it went overseas, most of it. So there's no way to trace it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we talked a little bit about how to prevent those types of crimes over the phone kind of scams or email scams, anything like that. What about, is there a way to prevent maybe those porch pirates?
Surveillance systems is one way. There's more people that are getting surveillance systems that actually connect to their phones so that they actually see when it's occurring. Making a report, you'd be surprised how many people don't report it. You need to make a report. That also increases your numbers too, though, on your thefts when you do that.
That's true.
The more people report, you're going to have an increase because you've got people who normally would not are now making reports, but they can also provide videos of the thefts and help us try to find out who the person is. Most of the criminals are not just doing one or two crimes. Most of them are doing the multitude of your crimes, and you may have one person that may be responsible for a lot of your porch pirate cases. So when you find them, you might find a solution to a lot of cases.
I think that's something I've noticed a lot is even in my neighborhood, we've got our little Facebook group, and people will post maybe a picture of a package being stolen off their front porch, and they'll say, hey, does anyone know this guy? Someone will comment, have you reported it to police? And they say, well, no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to really. I understand Facebook's a great resource, and someone might know the person that you're posting. And I know the Criminal Investigation Division has their own Facebook page that they post videos and photos of with cases that they need to solve. However, what are you going to do when? I mean, they can't. You can't arrest that person.
Well, you have to have education. Number one is if you've been a victim of a crime, you need to report it to the police department because it may be your case may be the one piece of information that we're looking for, that one extra thing that helps us solve a case. Videos are really good. They're good at solving cases, but video is just video. I mean, if you have poor video, and some of these people, you know, they expect us to solve a crime by a grainy video that they're 150 feet away from the camera, and it's raining at night, and they think we're able to blow it up and enhance it to solve the case. Well, that's not true.
So something we learned in class last week was 5 megapixel. Make sure your camera has at least 5 megapixel because otherwise it's a grainy video that makes the detective's job a lot harder.
Yes.
So if it's 5 megapixels or greater, they can actually look at it and they considered it evidence quality at that point. So it's
a lot of people don't realize that all video now is digital, and that's pixels. So when you blow up a picture that is pixels, it pixelates the picture.
Yes.
So you try to look at a license plate number that you've blown up, and it actually blows up the pixels so you can't read it. So that's a problem too.
Yeah.
I mean, the old video films used to be hard copies that you could blow up because it was actually film. It was not pixels. camera pixels.
So, I mean, cameras have come a long way, but they still aren't, they can only help in so many ways at the same time. Now, overall, from the whole year, 2020 and 2021, there was a 15% increase in thefts and fraud. We went from about a little over 2,400 cases in 2020 to 2,700 cases. Do you guys feel when there is an increase? Do you guys feel that there is an increase as cases come in, or is an increase
we can
big?
see it and stuff. I think a lot of the increase in cases is the fact of COVID. People being out of work. You have people who, when they're not working, they get desperate. I mean, they got to eat, they got to have gas in their car, they got to try to make a living, and when they're out of work, they can only survive so long on the money that they get for being out of work. In fact, I think at the end of 2020, there was a review about ending those payments. And there was also one, again, end of 21, that they were talking about cutting off those funds after a certain period of time for those people who are unemployed. And so a lot of people were feeling the pinch, and your crime goes up when people are not working.
Want to help solve crime in your neighborhood? Well, the Neighborhood Camera Initiative is something you might want to sign up for.
Ring doorbells, Nest cameras, and all the other camera security systems installed on homes and businesses that are facing public areas are tools that could help our officers solve very important crimes.
By signing up your camera or cameras in the Neighborhood Camera Initiative, it allows our officers knowledge to where these cameras are, and if a crime had happened, it could have possibly saw the incident in question.
You can sign up your camera on the City of Waco website at wacopolice.com.
And there's a lot of businesses that didn't survive COVID. They went out of business, and they're out of business now. And so there's a lot of people who are still out of work.
Yeah, no, it has been a rough year for a lot of us. Many people. Of course, crime is not the answer, though.
No, never is.
Not the answer. Never is. So, any last thoughts before we close this out? Anything that you would like to let the public know? Well, I guess one thing we didn't talk about were catalytic converter thefts. Those are very frequent. What's something people can do to maybe prevent that from happening?
Well, you can engrave a number on your catalytic converter with an electric engraver if you can. You can write the license plate number of your car. You can also put the VIN number, or you can put your driver's license number on it if it's your car, a personal car. Of course, the businesses are going to probably use the VIN number or the license plate number because they're more expensive. But the catalytic converter thefts have gone down, but that's because the legislature changed the law. They can only now get a certain amount of money. Before, they were getting, depending on the size of the converter, and the rare metals that were inside of it is what they're actually wanting to get. Because there's rare earth metals inside of those catalytic converters that are very expensive. And they were very lucrative for the companies that take in metals.
Right.
And so they were giving a portion of whatever they can make, the companies can make off of the converter. They were giving it to the people that were bringing them in. Well, now they're requiring them to show cause of who they are. Number one is, if you bring in a lot of catalytic converters, you don't work for a wrecking yard, you don't work for an automotive yard, they may not take them.
Right.
And also, you only get a certain amount of money. They don't do a percentage of it anymore. It's just a set amount of money that you get for those converters. So those are probably going to go down.
Yeah, and you've seen that go down a little bit since that law has been
A little bit.
Yeah.
But criminals they're very imaginative.
They are.
Some of them, if they went to work for their regular businesses, they could probably make a lot of money, but they would rather not. They would rather figure out ways to go around the law.
Right. And as they adapt, you guys have to adapt too.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's just a constant cycle. But thank you so much, Detective, for coming on. Anything else before you?
Yeah, we need people.
That seems to always be the plug here at the very end. Yes.
Well,
yes.
Waco Police Department is not just a business and not just people and friends. It's a family. We treat each other like family. And police work is very good work to be in. It's very fulfilling, but we need dedicated and really educated people to work for us. Not getting on the negative side, but a lot of police officers are getting old. There's a lot of us that are getting up in age, so there's going to be quite a few that probably retire in the next 5 years, and so we're going to need new people. So if you feel like you want to be a police officer, check it out. get on our website, get an application, talk to some of us. There's policemen in your neighborhood, I'm sure, that live there.
Yeah.
So talk to us or talk to him, or talk to other people, and see how you can get in. A lot of people, believe it or not, come to police work by referrals. They talk to an officer on the street, or they talk to a detective, or they're friends with one, and they talk to them, and we encourage them, and they actually apply.
Right. You don't know until you apply, right?
No.
That's right. You just
Exactly what
try it
happened to
out.
me. A
Yeah.
friend told me to come apply, and I did, and here we are.
Hey, look, I got into it by accident. So,
Yeah.
you know, we do need very dedicated people, and we're going to need, as the years get along, people retire, we're going to need more.
Right. Well, you can apply wacopolice.com. We've got applications open until March 1st. That's when our civil service test will be happening shortly after that. So, yeah, if anyone would like to be, you know, a part of our family, we are welcoming you with open arms.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
Since we talked about it, what would your advice to someone on the fence or thinking about getting into police work?
Well, if you like mysteries and solving them, that's one thing. And if you
Okay.
like working with people and trying to figure out why they do what they do, that's another thing. So if you're one of those type of people, we want you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bring
very
it.
good. Well, Detective, thank you so much for joining us here
Thank you.
on our Waco PD on the Beat Stats of Theft episode. Guys, don't steal. Come on.
It's not worth it.
Not worth it. Not worth it. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you.
Until next time.
Have a good one, Waco.
Waco PD on the beat. The heartbeat serving